Hello and welcome to NewsX. I'm Chetan Sharma. From a government of commissions to a government of missions, we call our series on NewsX, or the Union Budget, Mission 10%. 10% of growth. A figure which we feel will alleviate poverty, accelerate employment, elevate India's global status, accommodate all citizens, and effectuate prosperity, happiness, and bring in the Achhe Din. Now, coming out of a tough time, coming out of a historic Lok Sabha election a few months back, and days after a historic assembly election, one thing is for sure, that this budget is not short of history, nor is it short of expectations, and it certainly cannot be short of being reformist. That's the big challenge. Well, so far in our series, we've discussed growth, we've talked about tax, we've talked about fiscal deficit, and now it's the time to talk about the all-important inflation factor. What's the correct level of inflation that we need to bring about 10% growth and fulfill our mission 10%? As always, we've got a very credible, a very intellectual, and of course, a very motivated panel with us today. We've got Dr. Subramanian Swamy, thank you, sir, senior leader of the BJP. We've got with us Dr. Jayajit Bhattacharya, partner in KPMG. We've got with us Dr. Sunil Sinha, director and chief economist with Fitch. Thank you, sir, for talking to us. And of course, from the government's point of view, somebody who's seen the insides of the government. We've got with us Mr. N.C. Saxena, former secretary of the Planning Commission. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Well, whenever you look at any budget, and I've done several over the last couple of decades, one thing is for sure, every viewer, every consumer wants one thing. In fact, he wants something. He wants the less thing. He wants to pay lesser, and he wants more money left in his pocket after he's paid. He wants less inflation. And the reason for that, well, economically speaking, the lesser the inflation, the higher the growth. Take a look at this graphic, which tells you that over a period of time, as inflation is reduced, it's also given way to a higher growth. Professor Swamy, I know you don't agree with this entirely, but the fact of the matter remains, if you look at, well, by logic, I mean, if you've got to pay less for what you were consuming, you have more money in your pocket to be able to save and hopefully invest.
Well, I can turn your argument upside down.
Sure.
And say, why not think of measures which will put more money in your pocket? For example, give you an example. I mean, this is not a uncontroversial or a non-controversial suggestion, but it's a viable, in my opinion, I can defend it. Abolition of income tax, which would put money in the hands of the people. They won't spend it. I know Indians have a very good habit of saving. We have the highest rate of domestic savings contribution to total investment in the country. There are very few countries which have such a high proportion of total investment coming from domestic savings. So I would say that inflation is to be controlled in two ways. One is somehow to get the production system moving. So the supply side is one. And the other is that there are certain policy changes which are required. For example, forward trading in agricultural commodities, right, which in my opinion should never have been agreed to. So the inflation should be controlled not by raising interest rates, which has other effects.
You know, when you mentioned the word abolish, for a moment I thought you were representing AAP and not the BJP, because
no,
the
AAP,
polish of abolishing and freebie seems to have come
No,
from them.
it's not a freebie. I can give you suggestions on
You're
how...
You're abolishing tax,
yes,
in many ways. You're, of course, reducing, yes, the burden on the taxpayer, as well, yes, as the fact you're being populist, something that is...
No. I'm thinking of alternative ways of raising resources. Just now, the government has announced only yesterday that the 3G spectrum auction gave them close to a lakh and 27,000 crores. Now the total income tax contribution is 2 lakh crores. And in my opinion, 2G, 3G, this coal blocks, all will carry you without income tax.
Jayajit, Is there something we're missing out here? It looks all very well, all very rosy, but if you go out on the streets, you'll still see the prices of food items have not come down. Where's the catch?
I think that's a very pertinent point. If you dissect the inflation figures, you will see that the non-food part is what is falling down. But the primary goods and the food inflation is actually going up. In December, it was 5.1%. In January, it has become 8.1%. So actually, the food inflation is going up. And the other figure that people are not able to buy, that the demand has gone down for non-primary products, essentially means that people are not able to buy it. And that's not a good situation either. That means demand is falling, while the inelastic requirement of food is actually seeing a challenge because people are seeing an increase in the food prices. So we're essentially putting another 8% of, if I can call it, taxation burden on the poorest of the poor in this country.
And who better than Mr. Swamy to know that, talk about food prices, it's the onion prices which have brought down a government.
Yeah,
More than bringing down
77,
tears in the eyes.
79, yes.
Right.
The real reason is forward trading. And that should be abolished.
You're talking about speculation, basically, in the markets.
Well, it's not speculation. You go to the wholesale market, you say that I'm buying, and the price...
But across the market, I mean, my understanding of markets is also that speculation is also used to temper the markets at some stage, when it prevents hoarding at some stage.
Yeah,
it
but then
tempers
this is
the
not
pricing
done
of the
that way.
markets.
It is done because these
So
people...
it's a systemic failure.
We should never have allowed industrial houses to come into forward trading in agricultural commodities. They are able to put it in cold storages and bring it out when they want.
Dr. Sinha, is it so simplistic or perhaps so specific as it's just a forward trading, or we still have some very inherent supply-side infrastructural problems which are creating this?
Well, I mean, so far as forward trading is concerned, the basic logic with which it started was price discovery. But again, when you look at the whole issue, it's not that simple. Price discovery, yes, but a lot of speculative activity also goes on. Well, I mean, if you look at the market, then speculation, or the fellow who is taking the risk, is also as much part of the market making as anybody else.
Yeah.
So you just can't wish them away from the market.
It can happen. I mean,
they will remain part of. Otherwise, the market will not work the way you visualize it. But again, I mean, I guess the basic issue is that so long as your supply is not enough to meet the demand, and then if you have these kind of activities going on, just look at the Indian situation. I mean, in the recent years, the supply hasn't fallen to a very large extent. Even a supply-demand mismatch of less than 5% has led to a situation where prices have risen much more than what it should have, disproportionately. So that is something what I guess Professor Swamy is referring to.
Add to what you just said. If it was a market, part of the market culture that we had it, I wouldn't have objected. But most of the money is black money. Because that's, the wholesaler takes only cash. And it becomes very easy. And plus, there is no income tax on on rich farmers. I mean, there's zero income tax in agriculture.
We spent a while discussing that, the fact. But, you know, I think what's very critical, because we're discussing growth and its contribution and inflation's contribution to growth, is the fact that, of course, a large part of the figures that we see is because of falling crude prices, but more critically, more dangerously, it's because of falling demand. That's something that's very reflective in our corporate numbers, in the last quarterly numbers. What needs to be done there?
Well, if you look at you know, the industrial output numbers, then obviously they are not very encouraging. I mean, particularly the consumer durables. I mean, I think it's the 7 or 8 consecutive month of negative growth and huge negative growth. So to that extent, and that is also in a way, I mean, the positive side of it is that it is somewhat not allowing the pricing power to return. So to that extent, manufacturing inflation is down and low. So that is also contributing to the overall inflation coming down. But I guess, I mean, in the last couple of years, if you really look at what has driven the inflation, then there are two major components. One is the commodity prices, the other is the food prices.
And the commodity prices are coming down. It's bringing it down.
The decline in inflation that we are witnessing right now is mainly because of the fall in commodity prices,
which is a global phenomenon. It's not because of India.
Exactly, not so much in the food inflation. Right. So that
but the critical area we are an agricultural economy.
So that is something which still needs to be addressed, and if we are not able to fix that sooner than later.
That's where the supply side comes in, and that's where perhaps the inefficiencies in the system,
Absolutely.
productivity is highlighted. Yes, sir.
Well, in fact, food inflation has been very high because in the last 20 years we have been following policies which have led to very high increasing capital intensity in agriculture. So therefore, what has happened is rather than concentrate on technology or in improving productivity in areas where we have surplus water like Eastern India, we are concentrating on giving more and more subsidies to farmers in Punjab, Haryana and Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu, where water supply is going down. So therefore, as groundwater goes down, you use more power, you give more subsidy, so the cost of production keeps on increasing. The answer is very simple: you concentrate on areas where you have plenty of water. You concentrate on using pedal pumps, which don't require any. And let me also complete here. See, so therefore, what it will require is a shift in policy. And present government has taken two very good policies. One is that they have decided not to give very high increase in minimum support price, and the other is to reduce levy. But it has a negative impact. Because what is happening today is because FCI does not buy paddy from Bihar, so Bihar farmer today is getting only 7 to 8 rupees per kilo. A farmer in Punjab gets 20 rupees. So farmer who is using capital to produce goods is being rewarded.
And
a farmer who is using labor is being punished.
So there is an anomaly out there. What can we expect, Professor Swamy, in this budget, particularly because he said, I think the point he was trying to make is that India still has that can be a Sone ki Chidiya of the past. It's got enough resources. It just needs to be mobilized and utilized better. And the government can play a very critical role, and so can this budget.
No, I agree with that sentiment because I was part of the reform. I was a minister in 1991. Then with Narasimha Rao, also held a minister rank position. And in fact, when I was minister, Manmohan Singh was my economic advisor, and Montek Singh was my commerce secretary. The issue is that there are certain conventional wisdoms. Like that time we said the Hindu rate of growth is 3.5% per year. Narasimha Rao showed in 5 years that it can be 8%. And something which you could never imagine. So the kinds of what Dr. Saxena just now said, we need to think afresh. I don't know whether it should be shifting the focus to water surplus areas or create a water grid.
No, I'm just saying, talking about better utilization of resources, it's just an example.
The issue is this, you see, in agriculture if you take, the WTO says that we are one of the few countries which actually have negative subsidies on international price basis. We are a country which has 12 months of the year capacity to do agriculture, yet 25% of the land grows, only 25% of the land grows more than one crop, when we can grow 3 crops. The ICAR experimental plots give you 6 times what is the average yield per acre in the rest of, and in the commercial areas of agriculture. So the potential is enormous. And how to, therefore, you need not have it this year. You can think of a 2-year, 3-year span and convert this agriculture into a globalized agriculture.
Now, shifting to agriculture, of course, that's a very important component of the growth factor, but it's also just about a 20th of our growth. And a lot of it, rather 20%, it's about a fifth. And a larger portion comes from industry. And that's perhaps a very critical area to generate employment and reduce these inefficiencies which are there on the supply side. We have a Make in India campaign. How hopeful are you of that?
I think the way it will get panned out depends on how easy it is to do business. And I think very, very serious efforts are being taken up by this government to make sure that it becomes easier and easier to do business. Having said that, what's critical about Make in India is that if we don't make in India and we start importing things, it's not that there's going to be a very severe economic implication.
But
the
I'm
implication,
just sorry. We've got to be. It has to be made competitive in India. It cannot last without. But
the
I'm just
implication-
sorry. We've got to be. It has to be made competitive in India. It cannot last without that. That's the bit one.
Exactly. So it has to be absolutely right, competitively made. And the second issue, more importantly, is that when we bring something from outside, the multiplier effect of that manufacturing goes to a foreign economy. It doesn't come to India.
Fair enough.
If you're starting to manufacture here, the multiplier effect starts getting captured here. It starts to generate jobs, which then allows the inflation to start coming down, because you can then have a far larger set of economic activity going on.
Let me go back to the point. Sorry.
No, I was going to say here that in addition, we also have to see how to reduce the transaction costs when a new industry is set up. You know, this government has been trying to do so for rules and regulations which are within the control of Government of India. What about the state governments? You have a very large number of examples. You know, in Tamil Nadu, you cannot convert prosopis into charcoal. You require a certificate from the district forest officer. In UP, paddy cannot move from Fatehpur to Kanpur because these are in different zones. You cannot set up a brickle unit because you require 5 licenses.
You know, it's also an extension, Sunil. I mean, we talking about make in India means get people from overseas, but the people who are in India are not making in India. And they themselves are facing so many problems. So it's very easy to get, to try and approach
Plus, land
people.
acquisition
Plus convince the people out
has been a
here.
very
The
big
money
problem.
lies here first.
That's where the problem is that, you see, the first generation of reforms could be done with a stroke of a pen.
Right.
Yeah. It's done.
Yeah.
Now comes the most difficult part. And the difficult part is that here, the center can only provide the guidelines. The implementation will have to happen at the state
No,
level.
but why can't you have an enforcement policy? It's that simple. I
You
mean,
see, because it's a democratic
Because it's land is a state
setup.
subject.
you incentivize it.
Yeah,
There has to be
exactly,
some
exactly. So you
incentivization,
have to incentivize it. You have to create the framework where incentivization works in a way that the states who take necessary measures for reform and create condition for doing business much easier will be rewarded, and the ones who are not doing, in any case, growth will not happen there, so that's in any case is a penalty for them. But there has to be something more done at that level. Unless and until, so it's a kind of a, two things simultaneously have to happen. You have to coax them also, you have to incentivize them also.
Let me say that, add to this. You see, this Make in India, I would say the best example of it having been implemented is China. What they did was they persuaded the East Asian countries that you give us our semi-processed goods and we'll add value to it and export. Now the labor in the value-added stage was dirt cheap as far as China was concerned. So it made sense for the East Asians. Take, for instance, Lenovo.
Right.
Only the circuits came from Taiwan. And the glass case, the keys, everything was done in China.
Right.
And they put a stamp made in China.
Even the CKD model was somewhere.
Absolutely. The question is, China's local manufacturing ability is very poor.
Right.
But its ability to, get these semi-processed goods from East Asia.
By manipulating currency.
Of course, naturally, many other things. The Chinese are very good at managing these prices in that way. But they were able to earn a huge surplus in its trade with Europe and America. And they had a deficit of trade with East Asia.
Right.
Now, you ask the East Asians, why don't you come via India? They say the same thing that has been pointed out, that your infrastructure and your hassles are so terrible.
So it all boils down to infrastructure and
Let me just add to what Professor,
administration
let me just add
as well
to,
as- yeah.
Chetan, what Professor Swami
Very
was
briefly,
saying.
yeah.
I think about 2 years ago, I looked at ease of doing business parameters of World Bank, and I was astonished that the parameters, for China are much more onerous than in India. But the problem in India is mostly encountered at the state level, not at the national
and
level.
it's multiple levels.
Yeah, at the multiple
I'll
levels.
pull up a
But in
graphic
case
right
of
now.
China,
It's one.
It's one.
Yeah, but having said that, I'll just put up a graphic right now, which will come on the screen, which says that how your business confidence is still growing. The ease of the business may still be having problems, but the business confidence is growing. So there's a huge opportunity. Look, we're running out of time. I'm going to ask you one simple question as to what is the ideal inflation to achieve a Mission 10% growth?
I don't think there's any target for inflation. It's a question of your growth outlook.
All right, so you're saying inflation right now is not relevant as far as...
It is not
as far as you're
relevant
concerned?
in economic planning.
All right, what is the one measure that you think you really want to see in this budget coming out of Mr. G?
I would like him to abolish income tax.
Abolish income tax. What about you, Jay?
So I believe inflation above 6 to 7% hurts the poor. It's basically a tax on the poorest of the poor get hit.
What is the figure that you want of inflation?
6 to 7%,
6 to
not
7%,
more than that.
all right.
Because what will happen is the moment the figure goes above that, demand will start collapsing at the bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah, so you need 6 to 7% inflation. What about you, sir?
Say, for example, economy is growing at around 8%. Then obviously it's a tolerable...
It's actually about 6%. Let's remove the data manipulation. We don't want that.
I mean,
Last year and past year.
Exactly. Anyway, let's take it at the face value. Then obviously the inflation around 4%, 4.5%
Well,
is
in
what...
fact, food inflation should not be more than 4%, and for that you need to concentrate on small and marginal farmers in backward regions where water is surplus, or in central India where land is surplus.
All right, so there you've heard it. What you need is about an inflation right now of 4 to 5%, maybe even 6%, as long as the growth continues to take off. Better utilization of resources, remove those bottlenecks in terms of supply side, look at the food items and see how you've got to control issues there. And as Professor Swami, always the populist says, and something which I'd love to hear, and that is abolish income tax. Thanks so much for joining us in our series. We'll come back tomorrow with a look at the future with some students. Good night.